So, Tyler.
Yes.
This week you picked a happy movie.
You picked this happy movie. My choice is next week.
Oh, fair. I did pick a happy movie, but it was an audience recommend, wasn't it? So you
Yes.
helped me last week pick this. And I have to say that there's not a lot to go on here. So I thought we would start with something trivial and ridiculous, but would make you look dumb. It's like the things that I enjoy in life.
Okay, so just another day then.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But I needed to set it up to make myself look better, you know what I'm saying?
The fact that you constantly and on a routine and continual basis make your husband feel stupid.
Yeah, because that's what the audience wants. I do it. I do
Great.
it. I do it for the fans. Anyway, so in this movie, which is Uncle Buck, 1980s movie, 1989?
1989.
Yep. John Candy, wonderful movie. One of the famous scenes is that I think it was Macaulay Culkin's character's birthday, or Maisie. I don't really know which one. But anyway, there was a birthday. Oh, Miles, yep. So Macaulay Culkin. His character's birthday. Uncle Buck made overly huge sized pancakes.
Yeah.
Like, so big that they needed to use a shovel to...
Snow shovel, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Inspired, actually.
Right. So, somebody out there on the interwebs has figured out how to make said pancakes. So, I'm going to tell you the ingredients, and you need to tell me how much of each ingredient you need.
Okay.
Can you do this?
Probably
you
not.
You might want to write down the things you need.
Okay.
Ready?
Hold on.
Oh.
Go.
Okay, so you need flour. You need castor sugar. You need milk. You need free-range eggs. I don't know why free-range is relevant, but you need that. You need unsalted butter, and you need vegetable oil.
All right.
I'm saying we should, try this for scientific purposes.
We are not trying this. We've just re-cleaned the entire house.
Exactly why I think it's a relevant time to do so.
I'm not making our entire kitchen pancakes.
Well, let's just see how close you get. So, tell me, how much flour do we need?
4 bags.
Well, how many grams?
I don't know in grams. It's 4 bags of flour. They're like 5-pound bags, or they're big bags. Grams, 1,200.
Holy crap! No, dear. 300 grams.
Okay, 300 grams.
Yep. How much sugar?
200.
Yes. Wow! Ding, 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 ding. How much milk? And they did it in measurement of milliliters, if that helps.
Why would you do milliliters? This is America. Gallons, thank you.
Maybe this person is not American. I don't know. Use that conversion brain. Come on, Mr. Numbers. Let's do this.
I'm gonna say 1,000.
Milliliters?
Yeah, that's a liter.
No. 450.
450. Okay, so a half liter.
How many eggs? Oh, and there's no measurement for the eggs if you want us to know. It just, I didn't know if it to be clear. 9.
9.
Yep. How much butter? They did it in grams.
4.
Everything else is grams.
4 sticks of butter. I don't know how many grams that is. It's...
Somebody in post, let us know if he gets close to the sticks. The answer is 100 grams.
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably really far off, but, And then vegetable oil. I promise way less than you think.
Yeah, 50 milliliters?
It's grams, man. Grams.
Oh, God.
I don't know why it's grams because it's liquid. I don't know. I don't have an answer for
That's
you.
Why...
He wants to speak to whoever made this recipe.
20 grams?
15, so really close. So basically the sum of all this is he does not agree with this recipe maker's choice of measuring.
Use the non-metric system. This is America, for God's sakes.
Well, maybe they're not from America.
Okay, well then they're wrong. The rest of the world is wrong.
Whoa.
Actually, no, the metric system makes all the sense in the world because it's base 10, whereas our system makes no sense at all because it's base whatever we decide.
So again, you're wrong?
Probably.
See, fun exercise.
Right.
I enjoy it. Anyways.
Movie is Uncle Buck.
Movie's Uncle Buck. And before we get into the synopsis, you do have a beer, don't you?
I do. My name's Tyler.
I'm Shay.
And this is Cinematically Correct. This week's beer is Night Shift Brewing, You to Mom.
You to Mom. You to Mom.
Which...
Ooh, that's really not politically correct right now.
Yeah.
Considering what theme song that is.
Yeah. It's a Gosa style ale with lemon peel, lime peel, and pink Himalayan salt. So
that's really the reason you picked it, the pink Himalayan salt, which makes you sound really manly, by the way. So
thank you.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. It's actually not bad. It's definitely got more sour to it than a lot of them because it's a sour.
That's good. Now, you picked this because Uncle Buck was...
playing mom, basically. He was the next person up for babysitting.
Yeah. It's almost like I almost wanted to say a tamer version of Mrs. Doubtfire, but I don't know if tamer is the word I want to go for, but just...
less transvestitism.
Whoa. PC is not your thing, huh? No, that's... yeah.
One of my favorite comedians happens to be a transvestite. Eddie Izzard is comedy gold. But
regardless, my point was that it's less
wonderful.
on the nose of You to Mom
than
Mrs. Doubtfire, but I still think we need to do Mrs. Doubtfire because that's definitely an iconic movie from our childhood. But
I think that's entirely fair, and it's also Robin Williams,
which is delightful.
Yeah, he's really great in everything he's ever done.
I think so. I don't think there's a movie from him that I haven't liked. But anyway, since we're doing Uncle Buck, we will save our Robin Williams accolades for the next Robin Williams movie that we inevitably do.
Yeah.
So, would you like to give us a brief synopsis of this?
Brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis. It's a dysfunctional upper middle class family that moved from Indianapolis to Chicago. The mother's father has a heart attack and they have to leave town unexpectedly to go to the hospital, and they call on the father's brother, their uncle Buck, to come babysit while they're away visiting her sick father, and hijinks and hilarity ensues for the whole movie because it's John Candy.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, I wanted to ask you, this is not your first time seeing this movie, right? Because this is my first.
No, I have definitely seen this movie in the past, yes.
Yeah.
I've actually seen it probably a couple of times. It's been on TV and been just replayed over and over again.
Okay, so you guys are going to get the perspective from a first-time watcher and a veteran watcher. So I always think that's good because I think it's interesting to see, like, if you pick up anything different, on the second, third, fourth watch, things like that. And how you feel when you watch it for the first time and it's an 80s movie in 2020.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, IMDb, because, that's what we do. Obviously, the main person we would have to talk about would be John Candy, which I believe this is our second John Candy movie. Am I right there?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is the only one that I can think of that we've done. You
know that there's somebody out there in the interwebs that's going to be like, but actually, you did this movie where he did this cameo, and, it's going to happen.
It's entirely possible, but, I'm all for doing other John Candy movies because he's a treasure and he was gone too soon.
Absolutely. The big one that I saw mentioned a lot in reference to this movie, other than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for obvious reasons, was The Great Outdoors.
Well, there's also Spaceballs.
Well, I didn't see it in reference to this movie.
Okay,
I was just saying what people were referencing when it came to this movie.
Okay.
But yes, there are lots of John Candy movies.
So many great John Candy movies.
Yes. But anyway, he plays a slacker type guy. He's kind of never...
He's kind of the kid the man that never grew up. He's like, if Peter Pan came back from Neverland and grew up, that's the person that you would get.
Yeah. But he is an all-around good guy, so he's not like a degenerate or anything like that. He is a all-around good guy.
He's a good-hearted guy, but he does have some degenerate qualities. Like, he's a gambler, he's a partier, he's hard drinking, hard smoker.
But his family obviously matters to him.
Right. He has the heart of gold. He's the rough around the edges, heart of gold kind of guy.
Yeah. So, I adore him, and I adore this character.
Yeah.
I don't actually enjoy slapstick comedy, so I was a little bit nervous about this, but it wasn't physical slapstick, so I think that might be why I didn't mind it.
Well, it's also John Candy. He's got that softer pitch, too. So it's not the in-your-face slapstick. It's kind of softballed in.
That's fair. Okay, so another character that we should probably talk about is Tia.
Yep.
So Tia Russell is played by Jean Louisa Kelly. Now, I don't know her at all from other things. It did mention that she was popular on Girls. It's a show on, I think, HBO that I have never seen, but Adam Driver is in that show, so, I mean...
Well, so the only thing that I've seen her from when I looked at IMDb was Yes Dear, which is a TV sitcom from the early 2000s.
Oh, I've seen that show.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
So she plays Kim, the mom,
Okay.
in that.
Okay.
Which is a very different personality
role.
from this one. She's actually very delightful in that. But like, she's happy and peppy, and it's such a change over from the pouty, miserable teenager that you just want to slap in the face. Like,
yeah.
Just shut up already.
Yeah. So we'll kind of get into her trope a little bit more because it's kind of common in the 80s. So I do want to talk about it a little bit deeper. But basically, she just plays a sultry teen who is mad at the world, it seems like, and the whole movie is kind of the character arc between her and Uncle Buck and like how they grow and evolve as a family unit. So most of the other characters are pretty minor characters, but I did obviously want to call out a few, and I'm sure you have certain people you want to call out.
Yes.
But Macaulay Culkin I wanted to call out just because he's Macaulay Culkin. So this is before Home Alone.
Yeah.
This is like Macaulay Culkin before he was like Macaulay Culkin kind of
Yeah.
thing. We weren't sure of that while watching this movie, but he plays literally the same character as in Home Alone, like this kid who's sweet and, you know, but he's also a little mischievous.
He's mischievous. He's got that kind of...
Now, what's the other word for ball sniffer? Oh, nuts.
Yeah.
So...
He's kind of that pissant little kid sometimes that just gets under your skin just to get under your skin. Like, my brother would do this all the time when he was a kid, where he'd be like, I'm not eating in the living room, standing in the kitchen, leaning over into the living room just because he can. It's like, shut up.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure the podcast has heard that story like 8 times. So
Probably.
We need new kids in our lives to give some new stories, because, man. But he's adorable, and I just wanted to kind of mention him because he's someone that's pretty popular from our childhood.
Right.
So there's that. And then, of course, I have to do my Gilmore Girls reference because, like, I wouldn't be me if I didn't. So Amy Madigan, who plays Shanice, is in How to Get Away with Murder, which we happen to also be watching right now.
Yeah.
And Paris from Gilmore Girls is in that, which is Paris Geller, which is Rory's best friend. So.
Well, coincidentally, Amy Madigan is my Lord of the Rings reference.
Woo! And we did not plan this.
You get a twofer. So she was on Frasier, and Elijah Wood also appeared on Frasier.
Oh.
And he was famous for playing Frodo, Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Yeah.
We couldn't have planned that if we tried. But anyway, the rest of the people, I don't think there's anybody super huge we need to mention. Is there anybody else you needed to mention?
No, I mean, there's the rest of the characters don't really matter.
Okay, then. So, we had a few things to talk about. I mean, it is a light movie, but I think there's still some stuff. So, one of the things you mentioned, this is our second John Candy movie.
Yes.
So, the other one was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes, with Steve Martin.
And I think you mentioned there were some connections there.
So there was. So the end scene when Uncle Buck is leaving the house is actually the same scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles at the end.
Maybe in the same scene.
They used the same scene.
It's like the actual like cut and paste?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. I knew that they did like a freeze frame or something, but I thought it was just like they emulated.
No, it's cut and paste, basically, the same shot.
Oh. Interesting. Something I had seen that people were saying about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in this movie is that Uncle Buck's character, or John Candy, is essentially the same person, which is kind of fair. I mean, they're both kind of like
he does that in
silly.
a bunch of other movies, too. That's what he was good at playing, so...
And there's a rumor that that's who he was in real life.
Well, there's a story that he, for filming this movie, went out partying all night and then showed up hungover and tired. And his argument to the director was, well, that's who I'm playing, so it should be fine. And the director cut the scene for the day and just made him go home and sleep. So that's entirely possible.
So he probably was, yeah. So, I mean, which movie do you think you liked the best of the two?
I mean, I enjoyed this movie more, but I think having seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles later, because I'd never seen it really, that's probably the better movie of the two.
Yeah, so both of those were new to me, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if you're going to be a film buff type, Planes, Trains is better. But this one gives me more of like a nostalgia feeling. Like it really kind of pulls me back into like those family type movies that you want to see with everybody that you know is a little bit questionable. Like, I probably shouldn't be watching this, but I don't care. Like that type of thing. And like that, I don't know, it just makes my heart happy.
Right. It's the movie that you remember watching and your parents rented it because they thought it was just a kid-friendly movie.
Right, and the whole time you're like looking at them like, did they hear that? Because I did.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that. It just made my heart happy the whole time, and I was just kind of like, I could have totally seen myself as a young 90s kid watching this and being like, I'm getting away with this, you know? So, I don't know.
I think that's entirely fair.
Yeah, so maybe ridiculous. But, is there anything else between the two that you wanted to mention?
No, those are the two
main things.
Main points, is that it's the same scene, and John Candy's the same person.
Yeah. So if he's this same person in other movies, I'd be actually interested to see it, because I kind of like this character. I'm totally, down for it. But since we are talking about the questionable is it for kids movie, we should talk about the ratings. So this movie is rated PG.
Yeah.
So there is a website out there that basically gives kids the chance to rate movies. And majority of the kids in this, the ratings that I saw anyway, were from age 9 up to age 12. And they all pretty much said the same thing. And it was essentially, really funny movie, but don't let kids watch it because there's too much sex. And their biggest complaints were the laundry scene.
Fair.
And for lack of better terms, the potential sexual assault scene, I guess, is the word I'm going to use, because I don't want to use...
not taking no for an answer when you can clearly hear her say no and stop.
So the kids felt that if you're going to have that in the movie, you also need to explain what was wrong with that and why it wasn't okay. Because they said all the kids felt that they were making light of something that was very serious, and that was not okay. Which,
kids are
good
wonderful.
For kids. You know what I mean? Like, I was reading that going, you're delightful. Because, I saw that in the movie, obviously, but I looked at it as, finding a way to talk about a serious subject in a way that more people would receive, rather than like drama and things like that where people kind of walk away from and avoid. So I thought, but then I thought about it again. I'm like, but this is targeted to kids, and it is important to have those conversations.
And then there's also the naming her boobs and Felix the cat scene.
And Minnie and Mickey.
Yeah.
And
it's just, that is not a kid topic.
Yes. And the laundry scene, from what I understand now, I don't know exactly where this happens, but in certain places that you watch this, you will not actually hear everything he says in the laundry scene. But if you do hear the full thing, the biggest complaint the kids had was I'm going to put my load in you whether you like it or not. And they said that was hypocritical because he was against not taking no for an answer, but then he wasn't taking no for an answer. So.
It's the double entendre of doing it to laundry when obviously it's not the same.
Well, right, but you can understand from a kid's perspective why that would bother them.
I can see that, because it's harder to see the nuance if you are a child, because you're comparing two things that you're saying the same things, but they're two vastly different things.
But I do think it's important to see something like this from a kid's perspective, because I think we accept humor a little bit differently because we understand the nuance, where a child, when it's targeted to a child, really doesn't, and they're really looking at it as, these are the same. Why are you doing two different things with the same person? So I just thought that was interesting, and I do think...
Did they say that they should have rated it PG-13, or...?
Some PG-13, some said R. So
really?
Yeah, some of them were really offended by language as well. Some of them even counted how many times different words were used. I guess SOB was a big one for them. They weren't okay with that. So some of them counted and they gave numbers. So,
Well, there's that scene at the beginning of the movie where she's counting her sister's swears.
Right.
So, I think that's entirely fair.
Yeah. I find it adorable sometimes to read kids' perspectives when it comes to movies that are targeted at kids but are not quite...
Well, I also do think that the rating system has changed over time, because Jaws is Jaws is rated PG or PG-13.
I have no idea.
But it's the blood shooting out of the water. It's not...
How have we not done that movie? It is from here.
I know. But PG used to mean parent-guided because they want parents to have discretion over whether they go to see that movie.
Right. Now PG basically means you can show, like, leave it on and leave the room for your kids. Like,
yeah, it's P-un-G, so parents unguided.
Right. Right. It's supposed to mean, like, you don't have to worry about it. But nowadays, this movie would PG-13, but it could push to R. I don't know.
I mean, I think the main problems are that there's no actual nudity and there's no, like, violent murder. So I don't think it would cross the threshold to R.
I don't think so, but it's definitely not PG.
No, it's PG-13.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we got through that.
Yeah.
But, so we do a lot of times talk about the Bechdel test. Now, in this movie, the movie does, I believe, pass because the daughter and the mother have a conversation about their relationship that does not involve a man. I believe that is the case.
Technically, the sisters have a conversation about swearing as well.
Right. So, I believe that is the case. However, this movie has a whole different feminism side of things that's a little bit strange that we don't necessarily talk about a lot. So, this movie deals with the trope of dumb men, I guess, is how we can put this.
It's the trope from the 80s and 90s where the men are either hopelessly involved in their work life and professionalism.
And just not, they're distant, unattached.
Absent from the house in all things, or they're a good-hearted bumbling idiot.
Right, basically. And so both of those tropes existed in this movie.
Yes.
So you had, obviously, John Candy was a bumbling idiot, and then you had the father who could clearly see that the daughter and the mother were feuding, and despite anything going on in front of him, he had zero interest in ever involving himself or even attempting to.
Like, he just kind of brushed off of it and said, how about your birthday?
Right. He didn't seem like he even really cared, and I want to say, as someone who does talk about the women issues in movies and things a lot, I don't think those tropes are fair or representative of men at all. I think it was probably an attempt to make stronger female characters stand out by lessening the male characters, which I don't also enjoy. You don't
get addition by subtraction. You don't make yourself taller by taking someone down. Like, that's not how that works.
Right. I want to come across as a strong female character while having a strong male counterpart because I'm strong, not because he's weak. Like,
he's a bumbling idiot. I'm actually not an idiot.
Right.
Which is, okay, that's a good starting point, but you're supposed to be more than that in both cases.
Right. Now, we have talked about John Hughes in the past.
Yep.
He has his
issues.
And he is the director, I believe also probably writer of this film. So that can account for why this is the way it is. But I just wanted to make sure we mentioned it, that we do notice the problem with that. And it does seem in some ways that films have evolved, but there are still, I would say to this day, problems with those tropes where we're really trying to make those women look good. And in some movies we remove all men because it's like female power, I don't know. And then in other things we do things like this where we make the men just look dumb, and it's
just make everyone a compelling character.
Right.
I mean, I know it's hard because
let the actor who does the best acting stand on their own, whoever that may be.
For all the parts, like, just have all of the writing and everything at a higher level so they're all compelling characters.
Yeah, that would be fair. But anyway, that's a trope that we still struggle with. But there is that. We did say we were going to circle back to Tia.
Yes.
The surly teenager. So that's a trope I actually enjoyed in the 80s because that was probably me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the surly teenager. I'm probably still like the surly teenager.
You're the surly now adult.
Yeah, now adult that still thinks I'm a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So she reminded me, which is funny because this actress was actually intended to play her, Winona Ryder in, like, Beetlejuice and things like that. Like, that's who she reminded me of, but within probably 10 minutes, I withdrew my liking of this character.
So I can see where you're going with that. I actually had a different 80s actress in mind.
Who?
Ali Sheedy.
I have no idea who that is.
She's from The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
She was actually rumored to have been considered for this role as well. Another John Hughes.
Oh, is she the redhead?
No, that's Molly Ringwald. She's the quiet girl in the back.
Okay.
So it's that same kind of she's out there and weird, but she also has that kind of angsty vibe.
Right. Like Daria.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I enjoy that vibe. I think it's great. But in this movie, I don't know if they tried too hard to play that role or if they went just too far. Because, I mean, the scene that... I mean, I didn't like her from the get. But the scene that did me in where I was like, yeah, no redeeming this guy. I don't even care if she has a character arc. I just don't care. Is when she answered the phone when Shanice was calling and said that he was basically cheating on her. That is beyond surly teenager. That's just mean and messing with someone's life in a way
that's sociopath behavior. That's I'm going to ruin your life because you've inconvenienced me and you've mildly embarrassed me. So all things are on the table, including murder.
Yeah, it was too far. I just... Yeah. Now, do you think... What would you have thought would make that character more appealing?
I mean, just toning that down a little bit. I actually jumped off the boat earlier when she's having an argument with her mother and saying, if my family moved away, I'd have a heart attack too. Talking about her grandfather. That's your grandfather that you presumably care for. That's just too far.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think about in Beetlejuice with Winona Ryder, she's surly and whatever, but then there's cute moments with her, with Beetlejuice, with her parents, with all, like, and I want to say she has a brother or some other sibling I don't remember. But either way, she has interactions that are also cute, where it's like, you can tell she's trying to be mean, but she's also, like, got a good heart, so, like, it came off as kind of adorable, you know what I mean? Like, that, where she's more well-rounded. She wasn't, her angst wasn't all she was. And I think that was missing here. It seemed like this girl had nothing other than angst.
Yeah.
Until the end, and then all of a sudden, but...
It was a very quick flip. Yeah, it wasn't really an arc, it was kind of a U-turn.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so a big thing you wanted to talk about was the interaction with the principal. Yes,
so I fully expect to be crucified for this, but his sentiment when Uncle Buck is ripping into this woman is kind of justified.
So explain what...
Well, he's talking about, I don't want to know a 6-year-old that is serious about their academic career. I don't want a 6-year-old that is not a dreamer. How dare you?
Right. So, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, just because he's going into a rant that you might not understand yet, the principal calls in the parents and they're not there. So Uncle Buck comes in because Maisie is basically a dreamer. She's not motivated and she's not serious about school. So
a 6-year-old.
Right, a 6-year-old. So that's why they're called in. So this was Uncle Buck's reaction, basically.
Yeah, he's just ripping into this shriveled old woman that has no joy in her life. So she has to remove joy from children and make them conform to her strict guidelines. And we've all had that principal or teacher, someone who just is not a nice person.
Right.
I said to my mother, my kindergarten teacher would be a wonderful teacher if she liked children when I was in kindergarten. And that's always stuck with her. She's just like, well, that is honesty in its finest.
Right. I mean, kids will...
You're supposed to go outside and play and have an imagination and draw and do all of these things as a kid. And it's unfortunately seems like a lot of that has been disappearing just across the board. You have all of these kids in specialized sports tracks where they focus on one sport to be the best they can, and
you got dance moms.
You have pageant moms. God help the world. It's awful.
Or even just like in this movie, Macaulay Culkin was a kid. I mean, you've got kids in. If you look at most of the kids that were actors and actresses growing up, they weren't allowed to be kids, and look what happened.
Well, that's
not
exactly
great
it.
Things.
You are supposed to have your childhood because once it's gone, and there's no getting that back.
Exactly. So, I mean, I agree with that. However, the internet is a little bit upset about the comment he made about her mole.
I mean, that's entirely insensitive and probably the single most hurtful thing that he could say to her.
Right. So he said something about, here's a quarter, have a alley rat gnaw off that mole.
Yeah.
I might have misquoted it a little bit, but...
Here's a quarter, have a rat or gnaw that off your face.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
Could have been cancerous, so...
Well, he jokes about it for 5 minutes. He goes, melanoma, malignant.
Right.
Just...
Yeah. cancer's not funny, guys.
No.
So they don't. I know that we were a little bit more accepting of cancer jokes back then, but I'm not a fan now.
It's also on her face, and she already knows that it's there. Like,
right.
She has to be self-conscious about that. She's a person.
But there's been a lot of tropes where, you see something and they say that word over and over again. I can't think of
Austin Powers did it with Ben Savage. He's the mole. Oh,
yeah. But see, I guess that was funnier because it was fake and like exaggerated, like it couldn't have possibly been real. Where I mean, hers was obviously fake too, or at least I think it was. But it wasn't so exaggerated that it's not possible for that to happen in the realm of reality. I guess is how I felt.
That is just he is a mole because has a double agent spy. Right. Like it's a play on
double entendre.
Yeah, so it's a play on words.
But
it's a pun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying that. But yeah, so I mean, but people were really upset about that, and they felt that was very insensitive and very dark comedy. So
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I did want to, so Roger Ebert did not really enjoy this film. Now, I don't know how you feel about Roger Ebert as a reviewer anyway, because he's not great.
Oftentimes right, but not great.
You think he's oftentimes right?
I mean, sometimes I agree.
Okay.
I can't remember a movie offhand that he reviewed that I was like, yeah, spot on or way off.
Okay, so he does mention the scene we're talking about right now, and he says, basically his opinion of the scene. The scene is handled with such a mean spirit that any possible humorous effect is lost, and we simply feel had afterward. Do you agree with that?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it is a movie, and she's in the movie a horrible person. I'm sure the actress is lovely and nice, but she's that austere, horrible principal that is power hungry and just wants to brainwash children into being robots.
Right. I mean, I agree with that. The other main thing he had an issue with was the Uncle Buck's attempt to help Tia with her relationship. So he says, Buck delivers one long speech in which he offers to shave the lad's kneecaps with an axe, and a little later he comes after him with a power drill and then locks him in a car trunk. Sure, the kid is no good, but these scenes seem borrowed from some black comedy from a bloodier universe than good old Buck seems to inhabit.
I mean, yes, those are crimes. Locking someone in your trunk is kidnapping. Threatening with a weapon is a crime. And then also shooting golf balls at someone and hitting him in the head is assault. Like that.
But I think it was funny because you knew he would never do it. Like, he was so nice of a guy that, like, you weren't ever worried about him actually doing anything like that.
He's got the rough around the edges, so he'll be crazy, but he's not actually going to hurt somebody. He might shave her head out of spite, but that's hair grows back, you'll be fine in the grand scheme of things. Right. It's not gonna hurt you.
Right. No, I agree. So, I mean, his ending thing about the whole movie was, the movie is filled with good intentions and good feelings, but they seem to conceal another side of Uncle Buck, a side that makes the movie feel creepy and subtly unwholesome.
I absolutely disagree. It is wholesome in the whole, it's the overprotective father type figure. I mean, that's done in all kinds of movies where the dad is cleaning guns on the kitchen table or...
Right. And I didn't get any creepy vibes. The only creepy vibe I got was the clown drunk guy that showed up at the door that Uncle Buck told to get back in his mouth and leave.
Or, I mean, Bad Boys did it with Will Smith. And he goes, I just got out of prison. I ain't never going back.
Yeah.
To the guy that comes to take his niece out. Like, that, it happens. That's in movies. That's... Right.
So, you would disagree?
I do disagree. Yeah.
Surprisingly. But anyway, I wanted to kind of bring that up because his review is kind of passed around as the review of this movie that you should all kind of read before you watch it, and I just disagree with him on all surfaces. But anyway, the last thing that I had written down about this movie that we wanted to talk about was the movie it inspired, because we caught this while watching it and didn't know what we caught.
I caught it.
I saw it too, and I said I don't know what that was, and you were like, well, we should find out.
Yes.
So what was it?
So it was Macaulay Culkin's character looking through the mail slot in the door and seeing three burglars, when he is imagining that, and it's really Shanice coming to take care of them while Uncle Buck goes to save Tia
Right.
So that movie, or that scene, inspired the movie Home Alone.
Yeah, it did. And I think because of that, John Hughes had Macaulay Culkin in his mind the entire time of interviewing other kids for the role, like thinking like it doesn't really matter because he wanted Macaulay Culkin because of that scene. So I think that's kind of cool because I thought Home Alone came before this actually.
Well, it's early 90s. I think it's 91.
It has to be because he's like the same size.
Yeah, but he is such a good fit for that spot, for that role, because he's got that little rebel in him, just to be the kid that causes problems because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I find it adorable. I haven't seen Home Alone in so long.
Yeah,
kind of bringing me some vibes back. But anyway, so that's everything I have. But do you have a history minute?
Tyler's History Minute.
So I have a few.
Oh, a few.
Yes. So this takes place in Chicago. And
shocker, it's a John Hughes movie.
Yeah, all of them do. So John Candy is wearing a Cubs jersey for Ernie Banks, who is Mr. Cub.
Oh.
He is regarded as one of the all-time greatest in baseball. So he's up there with Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, everyone in like the top tier. He was able to hit over 500 home runs, 512, and this is before steroids.
Damn. Before steroids or before steroids were known about?
I don't know. But it's before the steroid scandal of Sammy Sosa and everyone afterwards, also a Cub.
You're not giving Cubs a good name right now.
They hold the longest drought in Major League Baseball.
The Cubs do?
Not currently. They won the World Series in 2016. But before that, they had gone 108 years without winning a World Series.
Wow. As a Red Sox fan, I like to kind of believe that we have the record, you know?
No, we don't. We're number 3 behind the Chicago Cubs and then the Chicago White Sox.
So Chicago has dethroned us twice.
Yeah, Chicago, get your shit together, guys. Like, come on.
I mean, I guess thank you, because I don't think, really taking the crown for the longest drought is really, like, something to aspire to. But also...
86 years is all well and good, but 108?
Yeah, wow.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
So they also have a curse. We used to have a curse, the curse of the Bambino.
Yes, we did.
They have the curse of the Billy Goat.
Like the screaming goat, or
yeah, the farm goat.
Oh, okay.
So at the 1945 Game 4 of the World Series in Wrigley Park, there was
Wrigley Field.
Yeah, Wrigley Field. There was a gentleman that brought his pet Billy Goat, and he was being distractive and disruptive. So they asked him to take his Billy Goat and leave. And his name is William Sianis, and
the Billy Goat's owner was named Billy?
Yes, he was a longtime Chicago native, and he said, "Them Cubs, they ain't gonna win no more." And
so we think he was a witch, is what we think.
Yeah, so he tried several times before he passed in the 70s to reverse the curse. His nephews went to try to reverse the curse without success. It took Theo Epstein in 2016 to reverse the curse, which he was also directly involved in breaking the Boston Red Sox curse. So he's got 2 curses broken, and now his name is good as gold in baseball.
Oh, wow.
Last thing, one last thing. They mentioned Felix the Cat.
In a very off-color way, but yes, they did.
Yes, they did. So Felix the Cat was the first real major cartoon that drew in audiences during the silent film era. And he was actually dethroned by Mickey Mouse and got crushed by Disney because the purest creators didn't want to add sound, so they were viewed as antiquated and outdated and behind the times because sound movies were way better.
Well, I mean,
because you have sound.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting. Screw Disney for that.
Yeah.
I love Disney, but kind of makes me sad. I mean, I've seen some of the Felix the Cat stuff.
I mean, Felix the Cat still is around and is still very recognizable, but he fell out of popularity in the 1920s because of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse.
It is a weird name to name your lady's part, but
that's what I got for the History Minute.
Okay, then. So I guess he's closing the book. He wants to move on. So, audience asks.
Audience asks.
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have been dropping the ball on Audience Ask for the last 2 weeks.
Blame Shay?
Yeah, blame me. I have been having a hard time getting back onto social media on all of my platforms. Just after everything that's happened in the world, I just had a hard time getting back into it. So I've been very late with Audience Asks. So I am sorry that there is not a lot to talk about here, but we do have the 2, which is, what we shoot for. So that's
all that matters.
Counts for something. So Stork, our lovely friend Stork, which we have something to be sending him, we should be doing soon. So hopefully that gets to you. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and it's not coming anytime soon.
We'll package it tonight with all of your other shipments.
We're trying it. Blame Tyler. Anyway, he says, John Candy was a great comedic foil, but was he good enough to be the lead in movies?
Yeah. I mean...
It's rhetorical, right? Like, he was joking, right?
He was clearly good enough to be the lead in this movie.
Clearly.
How do you argue that?
I don't know.
I mean, he was a great choice for Uncle Buck. And I don't think any of the 500 other people that were rumored to be considered would have done nearly as good a job. I mean, there are a few of them that could have pulled it off, but...
Yeah, definitely there were a few of them. I mean, John Goodman's one that pops out to me because they played similar roles in movies, and I think Uncle Buck, they said something about John Candy wanted to be in the Flintstones. It was something he really wanted to do, but unfortunately passed away before he was able to, and John Goodman ended up playing that role. So I do think of them a little bit and interchangeable in some places. However, that does lead into the other question.
Okay.
So Geek to Me Radio asked, with Hollywood constantly doing remakes of movies they really shouldn't be remaking, who would you cast in the Uncle Buck role if the movie was being remade now?
That is a very good question. There are not a whole lot of good choices. I don't think there's anyone really that springs to my mind that could pull it off. Do you have anyone that you would consider?
I mean, so we are doing a movie by somebody that I think could be the next.
You're killing me here.
So go ahead, say it.
Kevin James.
Yeah, so I mean, I picture that he could probably pull this off. Not as well as John Candy, but I could see him doing it.
I mean, that's fair. You need a big puppy-like person. You don't...
Oh, I know. The guy from Boy Meets World. The wrestler guy.
Oh.
What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Ethan Suplee, I think, is his name. And we've actually done several movies with him in it.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans and The Hunt just recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he doesn't have the over-the-top, Robin Williams style humor, but he has that. I think he would be funny in a different way. And I think...
yeah, but he doesn't have the same kind of warmness to him that
he's so
John
warm.
Candy does. Like, it's different. It wouldn't be as good, and it would just be...
So, okay, I came up with 2. What you coming up with?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
No, I don't have anyone.
Wow. Okay, well, failure. Do you have anybody in the role of Tia?
No. I mean...
I was thinking the girl from, what is that zombie movie with Drew Barrymore, or zombie show with Drew Barrymore?
Oh, Santa Clarita Diet?
Yeah, the daughter in that. I think she would be funny, and I think that she would do well in that role, because she wouldn't just be angry the whole time, but she's got that angry, edgy, I feel like I'd like her.
I mean, I can see that, but you need a little bit more edge for that character, I think.
Okay, so who would you do? Billie Eilish?
I don't... God help, no.
I love Billie Eilish.
You insert Billie Eilish into everything at all times. This is my life.
Yes. So anyway, I mean, that's what we would put. Tyler apparently is no help in any of this, but I did want to mention that Uncle Buck has been remade into a television show twice now and has not done well. It was remade in the 90s and then again in 2016. Both times the show did not do well and did get canceled. But it has not had a movie remake, and if I had to make my choice, I would not have a movie remake because it doesn't need one. But I know that they are right now rebooting all of the nostalgia things. So I'm sure that it is sometime down the road going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, stop it. Remake bad movies that could have been good.
Yeah, please.
Please, for the love of God, stop remaking classics. Make great concept movies that were terrible into good movies.
Right, or, I mean, if you needed to, you could use inspiration from the movie. Like, pick a character that you really liked and then make something of theirs. Don't just remake a movie that was already great.
Don't remake a movie into a shittier version of that movie, because that makes no sense. It's awful.
Yeah, it's tiring. It's tiring. Anyway, so, what do you give this movie? What's your rating?
Reviews.
Well, before we get to that, Rotten Tomatoes film critic score is 61.
Well, that's because of Ebert.
Yeah. Audience score of 76. So not much better. Not much better.
Huh. I wonder why.
I was going to give it a solid 8.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, what...
8 out of 10.
Do you have any reasons?
I mean, there's obviously the uncomfortable no means no scene, and a couple other things that weren't necessary, but it gets at least 5 points for creating Home Alone.
Yeah.
So, John Candy's a treasure.
Right.
Yes. I mean, Tia annoyed the hell out of me, but that's the goal. So, yeah, I mean, solid movie. Yeah. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I was actually going to give it an 8 as well, because obviously Tia bugged me, and the whole, like, men being idiots thing bugged me, so it's not going to get, like, 100 from me, but you can't rate a John Candy movie low. Like, I just feel like that you can't. I mean, it makes you happy, it makes you laugh, there's nothing bad about the movie, it's just a few things that were just, you know, a product of their time, I guess is what we call it. So, I liked it. I thought it was a good. I wonder if some of the ratings are people looking back and trying to fit it into our nowadays.
I think that's probably fair.
Yeah. So I wish almost that they would do some ratings where it's like stagnant of like the year that it came out, and then do like current up to date ratings, so you could see like if there was a difference of how people felt. You know what I'm saying?
That's an interesting idea. You should reach out to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. You want me to patent that?
Yeah.
Anyways, so we have another movie coming up.
We do.
So we should explain what happened. So go ahead and explain that.
So we took a week off because of current events, and it kind of threw our schedule into a flux.
Yes.
Because we have a very set schedule of audience recommend and current movie, and then we each get a choice each month.
Yes.
So that threw this off a little bit. So I'm doing the current movie, which is going to be Becky with Kevin James. It's basically, from what I've seen in the trailer, it's basically Home Alone, but rated R.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It looks a little edgy.
Yeah.
I guess is the word. We don't know anything about it, so if it turns out to be horribly offensive or something, I'm really sorry. But I did want to also mention we did skip June's current movie, and I did debate, moving things around to still be able to do one, but given that there's not a lot of new movies right now, I decided it was okay that we skipped June. So this is July's current movie. Sorry about that, but hopefully we can be forgiven. Anyway, is that all you've got?
That's everything, yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to talk to us outside the podcast, I am on Twitter, and so is Tyler. I am Cinematically C. Tyler is Blame Tyler CC. You can find us on basically any other platform if you type in Cinematically C. We have email, cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. Anything you want to do.
Twitter's your best bet.
Twitter's your best bet.
Her Twitter is the best bet because I never use Twitter.
Yes.
I actually don't use any social media but that.
Yeah, and I have to admit I've been pretty bad about posting on there, so I'm sorry about that. And if you guys have reached out to me and for whatever reason I've missed a notification, try to send me a message. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I will try to be better. But yeah, that is all I have. So thank you to Jake and Athos Music for our intro and outro music, and we'll be back next week with Becky.
Thank you all for listening.